The scream cut through the October afternoon like breaking glass. Sharp, desperate, wrong. Ryan Hayes had maybe 3 seconds to decide if he was the kind of man who walked away when someone needed help. His daughter Sophie gripped his hand tighter as they crossed the parking lot, her other arm clutching the stuffed unicorn he'd just bought her at Target. She was 7 years old, the entire universe to a man who'd already lost too much. 60 yards away, near a dark blue van wedged between two SUVs, three men dragged a woman toward an open sliding door. Professional, coordinated. Not a mugging, not a carjacking. This was extraction. Ryan's phone was already out, already dialing. The 911 operator answered on the first ring. His voice came out flat, tactical, muscle memory from another life. Oceanside Gateway Shopping Center. Southeast lot near Target entrance. Abduction in progress. 3 male suspects, 1 female victim. Dark blue panel van, California plates. The woman screamed again. One of the men yanked something from his jacket. 4 inches of steel caught the afternoon sun. Sophie saw the knife first. Her voice went small and terrified. "Daddy, please help her." Ryan looked down at his daughter, blonde hair tangled from the breeze off the Pacific. Blue eyes wide with the kind of trust that could break a man. She believed her father could fix anything, stop anything, save anyone. The 911 operator crackled in his ear. "Officers en route, ETA 6 minutes. Do not engage, stay on the line." 6 minutes was a lifetime. 6 minutes meant that woman disappeared into the van and never came back. Ryan had seen enough in 12 years as a Navy SEAL to know exactly what happened to women who got taken. The statistics weren't statistics when you'd pulled bodies out of shipping containers in Kandahar. Every tactical instinct screamed this was a bad decision. He was outnumbered, unarmed. His 7-year-old daughter stood 3 feet away. This violated every rule of smart engagement. But Sophie was watching, learning, becoming the person she'd be for the rest of her life based on what her father did in the next 10 seconds. Ryan knelt down fast, keeping his voice steady despite the adrenaline already flooding his system. "Bug, I need you to run to the truck right now. Get inside. Lock all the doors." Sophie's eyes filled with tears. "Daddy, what are you?" "Emma, right now." He pressed his phone into her small hand. The 911 operator was still talking, still telling him to stay back, to wait for police. "If anyone comes near the truck, anyone except me, you call 911 again. Do not open the door, not for anyone. Understand?" She nodded, chin trembling. "I love you, Bug." He didn't say, "I'll be right back," because he wasn't sure that was true. Sophie ran. Ryan stood, dropped the Target bags, started walking. The parking lot was moderately busy. Afternoon shoppers loading groceries. Parents herding kids. Nobody looking at the van tucked between the larger vehicles. Nobody seeing what was about to go very wrong for somebody. Ryan covered the 60 yards in 20 seconds, used parked cars as cover, came in from the blind spot where the lookout couldn't track him. His knee, the one that ended his career 3 years ago, already ached from the quick movement. But pain was just information. You could choose what to do with information. The 3 men hadn't noticed him yet. The one holding the knife had the woman by her upper arm, blade pressed to her ribs. She'd stopped fighting. Gone rigid. Smart woman. Stay alive first. Fight when the opening comes. The second man blocked her other side. The third stood near the driver's door, scanning the lot with the casual alertness of someone who'd done this before. Ryan assessed as he closed distance. Threat 3, the lookout, was the immediate problem. He'd see Ryan coming, probably armed. Eliminate him first. The man turned just as Ryan came within 10 feet. His eyes widened, then narrowed. "Hey man, you lost?" The voice carried false friendliness over real aggression. His right hand drifted toward his waistband. Ryan didn't answer, didn't slow down, just walked straight into the man's reach before his hand cleared whatever weapon he was carrying. Ryan's left hand shot out, grabbed the man's right wrist, trapped it against his body before the gun, yes, it was a gun, could come out. His right palm drove up and forward. Short, brutal strike into the chin. The man's head snapped back. Ryan pivoted, used momentum, drove his knee into the side of the man's leg. The knee buckled. The man's head bounced off the van's side panel with a hollow sound like dropping a melon. He went down, stayed down. 4 seconds. The second man, gray hoodie, younger than the others, reacted faster than Ryan expected. Released the woman. Charged, hands reaching for Ryan's throat. Ryan sidestepped, grabbed the incoming arm, basic judo throw, ogoshi. Used the man's momentum against him. Redirected all that forward energy straight into the asphalt. The impact drove every bit of air from the man's lungs. Ryan dropped, knee to solar plexus. The man's eyes rolled back. 12 seconds total. The third man, brown leather jacket, the one with the knife, finally processed what was happening. He shoved the woman. She stumbled, fell to her knees. He turned toward Ryan. The knife came up. Prison grip, edge up, ready to gut. Big mistake, hero. Ryan didn't respond. Just watched the knife. Waited. The thrust came fast, aimed for Ryan's stomach, meant to disembowel. Ryan's hand blurred. Caught the man's wrist mid-strike. Started to apply the standing wrist lock that would force the weapon to drop. But this one was trained. The knife switched hands. Blade slashed across Ryan's left forearm. 4 inches of burning cold. Blood immediate. The pain sharpened everything. Ryan powered through, grabbed the knife wrist with his right hand, twisted hard and fast. Proper wrist lock this time. The knife clattered to asphalt. Ryan's elbow came up and around, connected with the man's face. Cartilage and bone gave way. Blood sprayed from the shattered nose. Ryan swept the man's legs, drove him face first into the van. The man crumpled. 35 seconds elapsed since first contact. Ryan stood over 3 unconscious men. His forearm bled badly. His knee screamed. His hands shook from the adrenaline dump. But Sophie was safe in the truck, and this woman was alive. He turned to her. She sat on the ground, staring at him with eyes that had seen too much in the last minute. "You okay?" She nodded. Couldn't speak yet. "Stay down. Police are coming." Sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder. Ryan walked back toward his truck. Each step hurt. The adrenaline was wearing off, and every injury, old and new, announced itself. Sophie had watched everything from the truck. When he got close enough, she unlocked the door and launched herself at him. Arms around his waist, face pressed to his chest, her whole body shaking. "Daddy, you're bleeding. I'm okay, Bug. You did perfect. You stayed in the truck just like I asked." He held her, let her cry. Felt his own hands trembling now that it was over. Behind him, shoppers had finally noticed. People stood at a distance. Several had phones out, filming, calling 911. The parking lot's careful ignorance shattered into chaos. The Oceanside Police Department arrived 90 seconds later. 3 patrol cars, officers spilling out with weapons drawn. Ryan raised his hand slowly, kept Sophie behind him. "I'm the one who called 911. Those 3 men tried to abduct that woman." I intervened. An officer approached carefully, saw the blood on Ryan's arm, the way he favored his left leg, the child clutching his belt. "Sir, we need you to step away from the child." "That's my daughter." Another officer had reached the woman. She was on her feet now. Expensive business clothes. Dark slacks, white blouse, navy blazer. Her hair had come loose from whatever professional style she'd worn earlier. She pointed at Ryan. "He saved my life. Those men, they had a knife." He stopped them. Paramedics arrived. One tried to steer Ryan toward an ambulance. He pulled back. "I can't afford the ER. Just patch it here." The paramedic looked at the 4-inch gash, weeping blood down Ryan's arm. "Sir, this needs stitches." "Then stitch it, but not in the hospital." The paramedic sighed, broke protocol, cleaned the wound. 11 stitches right there in the parking lot while Sophie watched with wide, frightened eyes. Ryan didn't make a sound, didn't even wince. 3 years out of the SEALs, and he still knew how to lock pain in a box and deal with it later. Detective Sergeant Maria Rodriguez arrived 20 minutes in. Veteran cop, late 40s. She'd seen enough to recognize when a civilian moved like someone with serious training. "Mr. Hayes, that was some impressive work back there. You military?" "Navy. Retired." Rodriguez's eyes narrowed slightly. "SEAL?" Ryan didn't answer, which was answer enough. The 3 attackers were already cuffed and loaded into ambulances. 2 concussions, 1 broken nose and fractured wrist. All 3 conscious but not talking. Rodriguez took Ryan's statement. He kept it simple. Saw a crime, called 911. Victim was in immediate danger. Intervened. Rodriguez asked questions he couldn't quite answer. How'd you know they were abducting her and not, say, friends having an argument? How'd you take down 3 men in under a minute? Why'd you risk your life with your daughter watching? Ryan gave the answers that sounded right. Rodriguez didn't push. She'd get the real story eventually. The woman, the victim, gave her statements separately. Ryan caught glimpses of her talking to another detective. She kept looking over at him, something in her expression he couldn't read. Gratitude, confusion, something else. A black town car pulled up, professional driver. The woman spoke to Rodriguez, then walked toward the car. She paused near Ryan. Thank you. I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't. She stopped. Couldn't finish. You're welcome. I'm glad you're okay. She looked at Sophie, who was sitting on the ambulance bumper wrapped in a blanket some kind officer had found. Your daughter is lucky to have you. I'm lucky to have her. The woman nodded, got in the town car, left. Ryan didn't even know her name. Rodriguez finished with him around 7 p.m. The sun had set. Sophie had fallen asleep in the front seat of his truck, still clutching the unicorn. Mr. Hayes, you're free to go. We'll be in touch if we need any follow-up. Those 3 are being charged with attempted kidnapping, assault with a deadly weapon, conspiracy. You did good work today, Ryan just nodded, carried Sophie to his truck, buckled her into her booster seat, drove home in silence. His knee had swollen to twice its normal size. The stitches in his arm pulled with every movement. But Sophie was safe. That woman was alive. Sometimes that had to be enough. Their house in Oceanside was modest. 3 bedrooms, 1,500 square feet, built in the 70s. The mortgage had another 15 years on it. Ryan carried Sophie inside, tucked her into bed, still wearing her clothes because she didn't wake up even when he pulled off her shoes. He sat on the edge of her mattress for a long time, watched her sleep, wondered if he'd just taught his daughter a valuable lesson about helping people or a dangerous one about putting yourself at risk. The knock came at 8:30 the next morning. Ryan had just finished making pancakes, Sophie's favorite, when 3 sharp raps echoed through the house. Authority in the sound. Official business. He looked through the peephole. A man in a navy dress uniform stood on the porch. Service dress blues. Chest full of ribbons. 2 silver stars on each shoulder. A rear admiral. Ryan opened the door slowly. Can I help you, sir? The admiral was late 50s, tall, fit, iron gray hair, the kind of bearing that came from decades of command. His name tag read R.A.D.M. Morrison, Chief Petty Officer Hayes. May I come in? Ryan blinked. Sir, I'm retired. It's just Ryan now. Once a SEAL, always a SEAL, Chief. May I come in? Ryan stepped aside. The Admiral entered. His eyes swept the living room. Worn couch, coffee table covered in Sophie's coloring books, framed photos on the mantel showing Ryan in uniform with his team. The Admiral's gaze lingered on those photos. Sophie appeared from the kitchen, eyes wide. Daddy, who's that? Go finish your breakfast, bug. I'll be there in a minute. She disappeared. The Admiral turned to face Ryan. Chief, I'm here because of what happened yesterday afternoon. The woman you saved, Lieutenant Rebecca Morrison, is my daughter. Ryan felt something cold settle in his stomach. I'm glad she's okay, sir. She is okay because of you. I read the police report this morning. I also read your service record. SEAL Team 5, 12 years active duty, 3 combat deployments, Navy Cross, 2 Silver Stars, Purple Heart, medically retired 3 years ago due to injuries sustained during advanced training. Ryan's jaw tightened. Sir, with all due respect, why are you here? Admiral Morrison reached into his uniform jacket, pulled out a business card, handed it to Ryan. I'm here because those 3 men you put in the hospital yesterday afternoon aren't random criminals. They're part of a human trafficking ring that's been operating out of San Diego for the past 2 years. We've been tracking them. NCIS, FBI, local PD. They've taken at least 7 women we know of. None of them have been found. Ryan felt his blood go cold. You're saying your daughter was targeted? Yes. Rebecca works in naval intelligence. She's been part of the task force investigating this ring. Somehow they identified her. Yesterday afternoon was an attempted kidnapping, but it was also a message. We can get to you. The Admiral's eyes hardened. You stop them. And in doing so, you gave us something we didn't have before. 3 suspects in custody who are looking at 25 years to life. They're already starting to talk, trying to cut deals. Because of you, we're about to take down the entire operation. Ryan didn't know what to say. He'd thought he was stopping a random abduction, hadn't realized he'd walked into the middle of an ongoing federal investigation. Chief, the Admiral's voice caught slightly. I came here for 2 reasons. The first is to thank you personally for saving my daughter's life. If you hadn't been there, if you hadn't acted, I would have lost her. Ryan nodded. I'm glad I could help, sir. But I have a question. Go ahead. Why are you really here? Admiral Morrison smiled faintly. Because I want to offer you a job. The words hung in the air. Sophie's voice drifted from the kitchen, humming to herself. The morning sun slanted through the front window. Everything normal, except nothing was normal anymore. Ryan shook his head. Sir, I'm retired. I'm out of that life. I understand, but hear me out. Morrison moved to the couch, sat without being invited, the casual move of someone used to command. Ryan remained standing. The 3 suspects you put down yesterday are talking, but they're small fish. The people running this trafficking ring are smart, well-funded, and connected. We need someone on the inside. Someone who can move in circles where federal agents stick out. Someone with your skill set. I have a daughter, Admiral. I can't. This isn't active duty. It's contract work. Short term. 6 months, maybe less. You'd be working with NCIS and FBI, helping identify targets, gathering intelligence, and when necessary, providing protection for witnesses and victims. The pay is $180,000 for 6 months, plus benefits. It's flexible. You set your hours around your daughter's schedule. Ryan opened his mouth to refuse, but Morrison held up a hand. Before you say no, let me tell you what we're up against. This ring has taken women, some of them military, some civilians, and sold them overseas. We believe they're operating out of multiple locations in Southern California. Every day, we don't shut them down, more women disappear. We need people like you, Chief, people who can do what you did yesterday. Ryan looked toward the kitchen where Sophie was finishing her pancakes. Sir, I have a daughter. I can't put myself in danger like that anymore. I understand, and I wouldn't ask if I didn't think you were the right person. But think about this. Those men targeted my daughter. What's to stop them from targeting yours? The words hit like a fist. Are you threatening my daughter? Morrison's voice stayed calm. No, I'm stating a fact. These people don't care about rules. They don't care about consequences. If they think you're a threat, and after yesterday you are a threat, they'll come after you. Or worse, they'll come after Sophie to get to you. The best way to protect your daughter is to help us take them down permanently. Ryan's mind raced. He wanted to say no, wanted to shut the door and forget about trafficking rings and federal investigations, wanted to just live his quiet life with Sophie. But the Admiral was right. He'd put himself on their radar yesterday. If there was even a chance they'd come after Emma, I need to think about it. Morrison stood. That's fair, but I need an answer by tomorrow. Here's my card. Call me when you decide. He walked to the door, paused. Chief, one more thing. Rebecca wanted me to give you this. He handed Ryan a folded piece of paper, then left. Ryan unfolded the note, handwritten. Elegant script. Thank you for saving my life. I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't been there. My father told me you have a daughter. I hope she knows how lucky she is to have a dad like you. If there's ever anything I can do for you, please don't hesitate to ask. You're a hero. Rebecca Ryan stared at the note for a long time. Sophie came out of the kitchen. Daddy, was that man a soldier? Sort of. He's a Navy admiral. What did he want? Ryan folded the note carefully, put it in his pocket. He wanted to say thank you for helping someone yesterday. Sophie looked up at him with those trusting blue eyes. Are you going to help more people, Daddy? The question cut deeper than she knew. Ryan knelt down, put himself at her eye level. I don't know yet, Bug, but if I do, it means I might have to be away sometimes. Would that be okay? Sophie thought about it seriously. 7 years old, but already understanding that the world required hard choices. If you help people, then yes, because that's what heroes do. She hugged him, went back to her coloring books. Left Ryan kneeling in the living room trying to figure out how his life had gotten this complicated in less than 24 hours. The next morning started quiet. Wednesday. Ryan drove Sophie to school. Normal routine. Drop-off line, kiss on the forehead. Love you, bug. Love you too, daddy. He came home to an empty house, made coffee, stared at Admiral Morrison's business card, picked up his phone 3 times, put it down 3 times. Around 10 a.m. his phone rang. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer. Mr. Hayes, this is Special Agent Jennifer Ortiz with NCS. We need to talk about Tuesday's incident. Ryan's shoulders tensed. I already gave my statement to Oceanside PD. This isn't about your statement. It's about your safety and your daughter's. Can we meet? 2 hours later, Ryan sat in a small office at Naval Base San Diego. Special Agent Ortiz was 38, Hispanic, professional. Her partner, Special Agent Marcus Webb, was 45, former Marine, still carried himself like he expected incoming fire. They spent an hour verifying Ryan's identity, background check, service record, everything they already knew but needed to confirm. Then they got to the real reason for the meeting. Ortiz slid 3 photos across the desk. The men from the parking lot, Carlos Mendez, Travis Klein, Deshaun Williams, all have priors. Assault, drug trafficking. Mendez did 3 years in Corcoran for aggravated assault. Klein has connections to Mexican cartels. Williams is former military. Dishonorable discharge. Ryan studied the photos. What's their connection to the trafficking ring? Ortiz exchanged a glance with Webb. That's classified. But what I can tell you is that Lieutenant Morrison wasn't a random target. They knew who she was. This was a planned extraction. Why are you telling me this? Because you're involved now, Mr. Hayes, whether you want to be or not. These men work for dangerous people, people who don't like loose ends. Webb leaned forward. The 3 suspects were released on bail yesterday evening. 500,000 bond. Lawyer showed up with a briefcase. They walked. Ryan felt ice in his veins. They're out? Already? All 3. We tried to argue flight risk, but the judge set bail and someone posted it within an hour. Where are they now? Ortiz's expression said she didn't like the answer. We don't know. They ditched their ankle monitors within 3 hours of release. Bolo is out, but so far nothing. Ryan stood up. I need to go. I need to get my daughter. Webb stood too. We have an agent at her school. She's safe. But Mr. Hayes, you need to understand something. These people know who you are now. They know where you live. They know about Sophie. Ryan's hands clenched into fists. Then arrest them. Do your job. Ortiz's voice stayed level. We're trying, but they're connected. They have resources, legal help. The only way to truly protect your daughter is to help us take down the entire operation from the inside. You want me to be bait? Webb shook his head. We want you to be an asset. There's a difference. Ryan left the office, picked up Sophie early from school, drove to his friend Dylan's house in El Cajon, 20 minutes away. Dylan Chen was 41, former SEAL, Ryan's teammate back in the day. He opened the door and knew immediately something was wrong. What happened? Ryan explained. Everything. The parking lot, the Admiral, the job offer, the 3 suspects released on bail. Dylan listened, poured 2 beers. They sat on his back porch while Sophie played with Dylan's dog in the yard. So what are you going to do? Ryan watched Sophie throw a tennis ball. The dog bounded after it. Simple joy. Uncomplicated happiness. I don't know. If I say yes, I put myself in danger. If I say no, they might come after Sophie anyway. Dylan took a long pull from his beer. You can't hide from people like this, brother. They have resources, connections. If they want to find you, they'll find you. The question is whether you go on offense or defense. Ryan knew Dylan was right, but knowing didn't make the choice easier. His phone rang. Unknown number again. He almost didn't answer. Ryan Hayes? The voice was smooth, educated, not threatening but not friendly either. Who is this? My name is Victor Reyes. I believe you met some of my associates on Tuesday? Ryan stood up, walked away from where Sophie could hear. Your associates tried to kidnap someone. A misunderstanding. But that's not why I'm calling. I'm calling because you impressed me, Mr. Hayes. Former Navy SEAL, retired on disability, single father. Living on what? $65,000 a year? That must be difficult. Providing for a child on that salary. Ryan's jaw clenched. I'm hanging up now. Before you do, I want you to think about something. You cost me a very valuable asset on Tuesday, but I'm a reasonable man. I'm willing to let that go. In fact, I'd like to make you an offer. I could use someone with your skills. The pay would be significantly better than what you're making now. And your daughter, Sophie, is it? She could have everything she deserves. Good schools, nice house, security. Ryan's blood went cold. Stay away from my daughter. Reyes's voice didn't change. I'm not threatening anyone, Mr. Hayes. I'm offering opportunity. But if you choose to continue interfering in my business affairs, well, accidents happen. Children get lost in parking lots. It's a dangerous world. The line went dead. Ryan stared at his phone. His hand shook. Dylan had come up behind him. Who was that? Ryan turned. The man running the trafficking ring. He just threatened Sophie. Dylan's expression hardened. Then you know what you have to do. Ryan called Admiral Morrison that evening, after Sophie was in bed, after he'd checked every door and window twice, after he'd moved his Glock from the safe to the nightstand. Sir, this is Ryan Hayes. I'll do it. 6 months. But I have conditions. Name them. Sophie gets 24/7 protection. Best agents you have. Not rookies. People who know what they're doing. Agreed. If anything happens to me, you make sure Emma's taken care of. College fund, everything she needs. You have my word. And one more thing. This stays off the record. No official involvement. If this goes south, I don't want it traced back to the Navy or my service record. Morrison was quiet for a moment. You're protecting the institution. I'm protecting my daughter's future. If I die doing this, I don't want her growing up thinking her father was dirty or involved in something shady. As far as anyone knows, I'm just a civilian consultant. Understood. Report to the base tomorrow. 0600. We'll begin your briefing. Ryan hung up, sat in the dark living room, wondered if he just made the biggest mistake of his life or the only decision that made sense. Sophie appeared in her doorway, unicorn tucked under one arm. Daddy, I had a bad dream. Ryan went to her, picked her up even though his knee complained, carried her to the couch, let her curl up against him. Want to talk about it? Bad men were chasing us. You couldn't run because your leg hurt. It was just a dream, Bug. I'm not going anywhere, but you're going to help more people, aren't you? Like the lady in the parking lot. Ryan looked down at his daughter, 7 years old, too smart for her own good. Yes, I think I am. Sophie was quiet for a while. Then, promise you'll come back, every time. Ryan kissed the top of her head. I promise. He meant it. But promises made in the dark were easier than promises kept in daylight. Saturday morning, 0600 hours. Ryan reported to the NCIS Operations Center at Naval Base San Diego. Admiral Morrison met him in the conference room. 2 other people waited there. Chief Hayes, this is Special Agent Ortiz and Special Agent Webb. You've met them. They'll be your primary contacts during this operation. Ortiz gestured to the chair. Ryan sat. Morrison remained standing. Before we begin, I need you to understand something. What we're about to show you is classified. What you see in this room stays in this room. Agreed? Agreed. Morrison nodded to Webb. The lights dimmed. A screen lit up. Photos, maps, documents. Victor Reyes, 48 years old, Mexican-American. Born in Tijuana, raised in San Diego. On paper, he's a legitimate businessman. Import-export company, construction, real estate. Net worth estimated at $50 million. The screen changed. More photos. Women, young, frightened. Some were clearly taken from surveillance footage. Others from social media. In reality, Reyes runs one of the most sophisticated human trafficking operations on the West Coast. We've been tracking him for 2 years. We know he's responsible for at least 7 confirmed kidnappings, 12 more suspected. The victims are sold overseas, Middle East, Eastern Europe, high-dollar transactions. We're talking 1 to 2 million per victim. Ryan felt sick. Why haven't you arrested him? Because we need evidence that will hold up in court. Reyes is careful. He uses cutouts, burner phones, encrypted communications. His legitimate businesses provide perfect cover for moving people across borders. We've never been able to connect him directly to a crime. Until Tuesday, Webb added. Those three suspects in the parking lot? They're part of Rhea's organization, lower level but connected. With them in custody and facing serious time, they're starting to talk. We're building a case, but we need more. Ortiz pulled up another photo. Rebecca Morrison, professional headshot, dark hair, serious expression, beautiful in a way that suggested she didn't think much about her appearance. Lieutenant Rebecca Morrison, Naval Intelligence Officer. She's been working this case for 6 months. She was gathering intelligence on Reyes's operation. But someone leaked her identity. Tuesday's abduction attempt was Reyes trying to eliminate a threat. Ryan studied the photo. This was the woman he'd saved, the one who'd thanked him in a handwritten note, the Admiral's daughter. Morrison's voice was carefully controlled. Rebecca is also CEO of Morrison Security Solutions. It's a private security company worth approximately $120 million. She inherited a significant portion from her late mother. She's a very wealthy woman, and Reyes knows it. Why does that matter? Because wealthy targets are more valuable. Ransom potential, leverage. If Reyes gets his hands on her, he won't just kill her, he'll use her. The screen changed again. This time it showed Ryan's house, his truck, Sophie's school. Ryan shot to his feet. What the hell is this? Surveillance footage from the past 3 days. Someone's been watching you, Chief. Watching your daughter. Morrison's hand came down on Ryan's shoulder. Sit down. We need you focused. Ryan sat, barely. Reyes knows you're a threat. He's gathering information, building a profile. We believe he's planning retaliation, either against you directly or against Sophie. The room went silent. We have agents at her school, at your home. She's protected, but you need to understand what we're dealing with. Reyes doesn't make empty threats. Then why am I here? Why not just put us in protective custody? Because protective custody is short-term. Reyes has patience, resources. He'll wait, and eventually you'll have to come out. The only way to truly protect your family is to take him down permanently. Webb leaned forward. We want you to infiltrate his organization. Use your background. Former SEAL, recently retired, single father struggling financially. That makes you perfect. Reyes likes recruiting ex-military, especially guys who are desperate. Ryan's voice came out flat. You want me to pretend to be dirty. We want you to be exactly who you are. A father who'd do anything to protect his daughter. If Reyes offers you money, you take it. If he offers you work, you do it. We just need you to get close enough to gather evidence. And if he orders me to hurt someone, to participate in, Ortiz cut him off, then we pull you out. We're not asking you to commit crimes. We're asking you to gather intelligence. Wear a wire. Document meetings. Build the case we need to put him away forever. Ryan looked at Admiral Morrison. Does your daughter know about this? That you're using me as bait to catch the guy who tried to take her? Morrison met his eyes. Rebecca knows we're building a case against Reyes. She doesn't know the specifics of your involvement. For her own safety, we're keeping her out of the operational details. Ryan almost laughed. You're protecting her from knowing that you're risking my life and my daughter's safety to catch the guy she was investigating? Morrison's voice hardened. I'm trying to protect everyone, including you. If you have a better idea, I'm listening. Ryan didn't have a better idea. That was the problem. The briefing lasted 4 hours. By the end, Ryan knew more about Victor Reyes than he wanted to. The man's history, his network, his methods, how he identified targets, how he moved them, how he covered his tracks. It was almost noon when Morrison finally called a halt. We'll start your training Monday. Surveillance techniques, communication protocols, how to wear a wire without getting caught. For now, go home. Spend the weekend with your daughter. And Chief, be careful. Reyes is watching. Ryan left the base, drove home, checked his rearview mirror 20 times. When he pulled into his driveway, a dark sedan across the street caught his attention. Tinted windows, government plates, his protection detail, or possibly Reyes' surveillance team. No way to know for sure. Sophie was at Dylan's house, safe. Ryan had the rest of the day to himself. He sat in his empty living room and tried to figure out when his life had turned into an action movie. Tried to pinpoint the exact moment everything went sideways. The moment was obvious. Tuesday afternoon, 4:30 p.m., when he decided to help a stranger in a parking lot. No good deed unpunished. His phone buzzed. Text message, unknown number, a photo loaded. Sophie at school, playing on the playground. The photo was from today, morning recess. Below the photo, beautiful daughter you have. Such a shame if something happened to her. Ryan was out the door and in his truck before he could think. Called the NCIS agent supposedly watching Sophie. No answer. Called the school. Secretary said everything was fine. Sophie was safe. Playing with friends. Ryan didn't care. He drove anyway. Made it to the school in 8 minutes. Signed in at the office. Found Sophie on the playground. She ran to him when she saw him. "Daddy, what are you doing here?" He picked her up, held her tight, scanned the perimeter, saw nothing obviously wrong, but his phone had received that photo, which meant someone with a camera had been close enough to take it. Recently, an NCIS agent approached. Young, maybe 30, tried to look casual, but his hand was near his weapon. "Mr. Hayes, everything okay?" Ryan kept Sophie in his arms, showed the agent his phone. The photo, the text. The agent's face went pale. "That wasn't sent by us, I know." Which means Reyes has someone else watching. Someone you didn't spot. The agent spoke into his radio. Backup arrived within minutes. The school went into soft lockdown. Nothing announced to the kids, but security tightened. Ryan took Sophie home. Called Morrison. Explained what happened. The Admiral's voice was granite. "We're moving you both to a safe house. No, Sophie's school is here, her friends are here, her life is here. I'm not making her disappear because some psychopath wants to make a point." Morrison didn't argue. Then we increased protection. 3 agents minimum, 24/7. No gaps. Fine. "But Admiral, this just got personal. You wanted me to infiltrate Reyes' organization. Let's do it. But I want to move fast. I'm not giving him time to take another shot at my daughter." "Agreed. Monday morning we'll set up your cover, get you ready to make contact." Ryan hung up, made dinner for Sophie, acted like everything was normal. But that night after she went to bed, he sat on his back porch with his Glock in his lap and watched the shadows. A figure appeared at his fence line. Ryan was up and moving before conscious thought. Weapon raised. The figure stopped. Raised hands. Chief Hayes. "Agent Ortiz, don't shoot." She climbed over the fence, walked onto his patio, saw the gun. "Can I sit?" Ryan lowered the weapon, didn't holster it. Ortiz sat down without invitation. "That text message today, that was a message from Reyes. He's telling you he can reach Sophie anytime he wants." "I got that. But here's what you need to understand. He won't actually hurt her." Ryan's voice came out cold. "You sound real sure about that." "I am. Because she's leverage. Dead, she's worthless." To him, alive and threatened, she controls you. Reyes is smart. He knows you'll do anything to keep her safe. He's banking on that. Ryan holstered his weapon finally. "So what do I do?" "You do exactly what we planned. You go into his organization, you gather evidence, you play the desperate father who needs money. And when the time is right, we bring him down. And if he figures out I'm working with you, then you get out. We extract you. But Ryan," she leaned forward, "if you don't do this, if you walk away now, he still comes after Sophie eventually. You embarrassed him. You took down 3 of his guys. You saved a woman he wanted dead. He can't let that stand. The only way forward is through." Ryan knew she was right, but knowing didn't make it easier. Ortiz stood. "Monday morning, 0600, we start for real." She left the way she came. Over the fence. Into the shadows. Ryan sat alone on his patio until 3 in the morning. Watching, waiting, protecting the only thing in the world that mattered. Sunday passed in a blur. Ryan took Sophie to the beach. Let her play in the waves. Bought her ice cream even though it strained the budget. Tried to give her a normal day. A good memory in case things went bad. That night he tucked her in, read her 3 stories instead of 1. Stayed until she fell asleep. Then he went to his room and wrote a letter. Just in case. Sealed it. Put it in his safe deposit box along with his will and Sophie's birth certificate. Instructions that if something happened to him, Admiral Morrison was to be contacted. Sophie was to be cared for. Everything arranged. He prayed he'd never need the letter. But 13 years in the SEALs had taught him to plan for worst-case scenarios. Monday morning, 0600. Ryan reported to the operations center. Ready or not? The operations center smelled like burnt coffee and stress. Ryan arrived at 0600 to find Admiral Morrison already waiting. Webb and Ortiz flanked him. A fourth person sat at the conference table. Dark hair pulled back. Business suit that probably cost more than Ryan's mortgage payment. The woman from the parking lot. Rebecca Morrison looked different in person than she had on the ground, bleeding from a cut lip. Composed now. Professional. The kind of beautiful that came with money and good genetics and an entire life of people telling her she could have anything she wanted. Chief Hayes. Rebecca stood, extended her hand. I wanted to thank you properly. Her handshake was firm, confident. Her eyes met his without hesitation. Ryan registered expensive perfume, manicured nails, a watch that cost more than his truck. Glad you're okay, ma'am. Rebecca, please. And I'm more than okay because of you. Morrison cleared his throat. Rebecca insisted on being part of the operational briefing. Against my wishes, Rebecca's jaw tightened slightly. It's my investigation, Dad. I'm not sitting on the sidelines. The father-daughter tension crackled across the room. Ryan stayed quiet. This wasn't his family drama. Morrison gestured to the table. Let's get started. We have a lot to cover. The briefing took 3 hours. Maps, photos, financial records. Reyes's legitimate businesses were impressive covers. Pacific Import Services, Baja Construction, 3 shipping companies, 2 trucking firms. On paper, everything looked clean. Underneath was a network designed to move human cargo. Rebecca contributed more than Ryan expected. She knew Reyes's business structure intimately, knew which companies were fronts and which actually generated revenue, knew the key players in his organization. How do you know all this? Rebecca met his eyes. 6 months of research. I've been tracking his financial transactions, import-export records, looking for patterns. Ryan noticed Morrison shift uncomfortably. There's more to it than that, isn't there? Rebecca glanced at her father. Something passed between them. Morrison gave a slight nod. I went undercover, briefly. Attended some of Reyes's social events, parties, business meetings, posed as a potential investor interested in his import business. Ryan felt cold spread through his chest. You put yourself in the middle of a trafficking ring? Deliberately? I was gathering intelligence, wearing a wire. FBI had my back, except they didn't. Someone in his organization recognized you. That's why Tuesday happened, Rebecca's voice went sharp. Yes, which is why I'm even more invested in taking him down now. No. Everyone turned to Ryan. No what? You're not going anywhere near this operation. You're the target. You stay behind a desk where it's safe, Rebecca's eyes flashed. I don't take orders from you. You do if you want me to do this job. Admiral Morrison hired me to infiltrate Reyes's organization. That means I'm the asset in the field. You're a liability. The room went silent. Morrison looked like he wanted to agree but couldn't without undermining his daughter. Webb suddenly found the ceiling fascinating. Ortiz hid a smile. Rebecca stood. A liability. That's what you think I am. That's what you are. Rich girl playing detective. Putting yourself at risk because you need to prove something to Daddy. The words came out harsher than Ryan intended. Rebecca's face went pale, then red. You don't know anything about me. I know you have everything. Money, connections, security, and you risked it all on some vanity project to show you're more than just an inheritance. Rebecca grabbed her bag, walked out. The door slammed behind her. Morrison sighed. That went well. Ryan rubbed his face. I'm sorry, Admiral, but I meant what I said. If she's out there, she's a target. I can't protect her and do the mission. I know. And you're right. She won't like it. But you're right. The briefing continued. By noon, Ryan had memorized Reyes's known associates, his properties, his patterns. The plan was simple. Approach Reyes's legitimate businesses, offer security consultation services, use his SEAL background as credentials, play up the single father angle, the financial desperation. It felt dirty. But most undercover work did. That afternoon, Ryan worked with Agent Park in the tech lab. David Park was 35, former Army signals, now FBI technical specialist. He showed Ryan the surveillance equipment. This wire is body heat activated, undetectable unless they do a full strip search, which hopefully they won't. Hopefully. Park demonstrated the encrypted phone, the GPS tracker sewn into Ryan's belt, the micro camera hidden in his watch. You'll have full support. We'll be monitoring everything. If things go south, we can have tactical teams on site in under 3 minutes. Ryan nodded. 3 minutes was a lifetime in a firefight, but better than nothing. Park hesitated. Look, man, I know this is dangerous, but for what it's worth, you're doing good work. Those women Reyes took, they deserve justice. Ryan thought about the photo on the briefing screen. 7 confirmed victims, young women who disappeared, daughters, sisters, someone's whole world. Yeah, they do. Sophie stayed with Dylan that week. Ryan hated it, but couldn't risk her being at home while he was preparing for this operation. She didn't understand why she couldn't come home, why Daddy was busy, why everything felt wrong. Dylan sent updates, photos, Sophie playing with his dog, drawing pictures. She seemed okay, but Ryan knew better. Kids internalized stress, made it part of who they were. Thursday evening, Rebecca showed up at Dylan's house. Ryan was there for dinner with Sophie, opened the door to find her standing on the porch holding wrapped presents. What are you doing here? Bringing Sophie some things. May I come in? Ryan wanted to say no, wanted to keep this woman with her expensive clothes and complicated life away from his daughter. But Sophie appeared behind him. Miss Rebecca. She pushed past Ryan, hugged Rebecca's legs. Rebecca's carefully composed face cracked into something genuine, a real smile. Hi, Sophie. I brought you some presents. You didn't have to do that. Rebecca knelt down. I wanted to. Can I come in? Sophie grabbed her hand, pulled her inside. Ryan had no choice but to follow. Dylan raised his eyebrows, mouthed wow when he saw Rebecca. Ryan glared at him. Sophie opened the presents. American Girl doll, 3 outfits, a set of books, easily $500 worth of toys. This is too much. Rebecca looked up at Ryan. She deserves nice things. We can't afford this. I know. That's why I brought them. The condescension stung. Ryan's jaw clenched. But Sophie was already showing Dylan the doll, explaining the story, happy in a way she hadn't been all week. Rebecca stood. Can we talk? Outside? They went to the back porch. The sun was setting. Orange light painted everything gold. I'm sorry for what I said Monday. You were right. I was reckless going undercover. I put people at risk. Ryan leaned against the railing. Why'd you do it? Rebecca was quiet for a long time. Because everyone thinks I got my company handed to me. That I'm just Richard Morrison's daughter. That I inherited everything and earned nothing. I wanted to prove them wrong. Wanted to prove I could be more than just money and a famous name. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. She laughed bitterly. Easy for you to say. You earned your reputation. 12 years as a SEAL, medals, respect. People look at you and see a hero. They look at me and see a trust fund. Ryan turned to face her. You know what I see when people look at me? A broken down veteran with a bum knee who couldn't hack it. A single father barely making rent. A guy who used to be somebody and now is nobody. We all have something to prove, Rebecca. Rich or poor doesn't change that. She met his eyes. Something shifted between them. Understanding, maybe. Or just recognition that they weren't as different as they appeared. Friends? She held out her hand. Friends. They shook. Her hand stayed in his a moment longer than necessary. Dylan opened the door. Sophie wants to show Miss Rebecca her room, if that's okay. Rebecca looked at Ryan. He nodded. She went inside. Ryan stayed on the porch, watched the sun finish setting. Dylan joined him. She's into you, man. She's my boss's daughter, and way out of my league. Maybe, but she drove 40 minutes to bring your kid presents. That's not nothing. It's guilt. She feels responsible for what happened. Dylan shrugged. Whatever you say, brother. But I've seen combat, and I've seen attraction. That woman looks at you like you're the last medevac out of Kandahar. Ryan didn't respond. Couldn't. Because part of him had noticed the way Rebecca looked at him too. And it terrified him more than Reyes ever could. Week 2, Ryan made contact with Reyes' organization. Walked into Pacific Import Services like he belonged there. The warehouse near San Diego port was massive, legitimate operation on the surface. But Ryan's trained eye caught details. Security cameras everywhere. Armed guards trying to look like regular workers. Shipping containers with paperwork that didn't quite match the cargo descriptions. The manager met him in a small office. Tony Vega, 43, expensive suit, gold Rolex, the kind of middle manager who thought he was more important than he was. Mr. Hayes, what can I do for you? Ryan gave his prepared pitch. Security consultant, former military, looking to expand his client base. Heard Pacific Import might need updated security assessments. Vega leaned back in his chair. We have security. Why would we need you? Because your current setup has holes. I could breach this facility in under 10 minutes. Want me to show you how? Vega's eyes narrowed. That sounds like a threat. It's a demonstration. You're worried about theft, industrial espionage, competition. I can show you where you're vulnerable. No charge for the initial assessment. In the surveillance van 2 blocks away, Rebecca sat between Morrison and Webb. She wore a headset, listened to every word, her hands gripped the edge of the table. He's good. Morrison glanced at her. He's a SEAL. They're trained for this, not the infiltration part. The way he talks, confident but not arrogant, humble enough to seem trustworthy. He's a natural. Or he's desperate. Don't forget why he's doing this. Rebecca didn't respond, but her eyes stayed locked on the audio feed, on Ryan's voice coming through the wire. Vega made a phone call, spoke in Spanish. Ryan caught enough to understand. Vega was calling his boss, asking permission to bring in this ex-military guy who just walked in offering services. The conversation lasted 3 minutes. Vega hung up. My employer would like to meet you tomorrow. Noon, same location. I'll be here. Ryan left, walked 3 blocks before the NCIS van picked him up. Morrison drove. Webb rode shotgun. Rebecca sat in back next to Ryan. That was excellent work, Chief. Ryan peeled off the wire. His shirt was soaked with sweat. Reyes is careful. He's not going to trust me right away. No, but you got his attention. That's the first step. Rebecca hadn't said anything. Ryan glanced at her. You okay? She met his eyes. I should have been there. I know that operation. I could have helped. You helped by staying here, by monitoring, by being safe. Something in her expression shifted, softened. You really believe that I'm helping by staying behind? Ryan surprised himself with the answer. Yeah, I do. Because if something happened to you, your father would lose focus. The operation would fail. Those women would stay missing. You being safe means everyone can concentrate on the mission. That's valuable. Rebecca looked away, but not before Ryan saw moisture in her eyes. Friday noon. Ryan returned to Pacific Import Services. This time Vega escorted him to a different office. Second floor, windows overlooking the warehouse floor. Expensive furniture. Modern art on the walls. Victor Reyes stood when Ryan entered. 48, tailored suit, handmade shoes. The kind of man who'd started with nothing and built an empire through intelligence and ruthlessness. Mr. Hayes, thank you for coming. His handshake was firm. His smile didn't reach his eyes. Tony tells me you're former military, Navy SEAL. That's right. Reyes gestured to a chair. Ryan sat. Reyes remained standing. Power play. Make the guests look up. I respect men who serve. My grandfather was Mexican Army, fought in World War II. He taught me that discipline and loyalty are worth more than education. Ryan stayed quiet. Let Reyes talk. I've done some research on you. Ryan Hayes, 39 years old, retired 3 years ago after a training accident, medically discharged, Purple Heart, 2 Silver Stars, Navy Cross. Very impressive. He pulled out a file, put it on the desk. You live in a modest house in Oceanside, drive a 15-year-old truck, work as a security consultant making approximately $65,000 a year. You have a daughter, 7 years old. Sophie. Ryan's blood went cold, but he kept his face neutral. You do thorough research. I always do. The question is, Mr. Hayes, why would a man with your background be struggling financially? The Navy takes care of its veterans, doesn't it? Disability payments don't cover much. Medical bills from the injury. Raising a kid alone, it adds up. Reyes nodded sympathetically. I imagine it does, which is why I'm curious about your sudden interest in my business. Security consultants don't usually knock on doors offering free assessments. I'm building my client base. Your operation is large, successful, the kind of reference that opens other doors. Reyes studied him for a long moment. You're lying, but I appreciate that you're good at it. Ryan's hand twitched toward his ankle, where a weapon would normally be, except he was unarmed. NCIS orders. I'm not lying. Reyes picked up the file. Tuesday afternoon, Oceanside Gateway Shopping Center. You assaulted 3 men in a parking lot, put them all in the hospital. One of them, Carlos Mendez, works for me. The room seemed to tilt. Ryan fought to keep his breathing steady. They were kidnapping a woman. I stopped them. Yes, Rebecca Morrison, naval officer, and more importantly, CEO of Morrison Security Solutions. Quite a coincidence that you'd be there at exactly the right moment to save her. It wasn't a coincidence. Wrong place, wrong time. Reyes smiled. Or exactly the right place at exactly the right time. Mr. Hayes, I'm going to be direct. I think you're either FBI or you're being used by FBI. I think that woman you saved is connected to an investigation into my businesses. And I think you're here to gather evidence. That's paranoid, is it? 3 of my employees are in custody facing serious charges. Rebecca Morrison has been asking questions about my import operations for months. And now you, a decorated SEAL, show up offering your services. It's almost insulting how obvious it is. Ryan stood. I came here looking for work. If you're not interested, I'll leave. Sit down. The command came with weight. Ryan hesitated, then sat. I didn't say I wasn't interested. In fact, I am very interested, because you're either working for the FBI, in which case you're useless to me, or you're a desperate father who'd do anything to provide for his daughter, in which case you're exactly what I need. I'm not dirty. Everyone's dirty, Mr. Hayes. It's just a question of price. So let me make you an offer. $5,000, cash, tonight. All you have to do is escort a shipment from here to a private airfield near the border. 2 hours of work, no questions asked. What kind of shipment? The kind that requires discretion, the kind that you don't look at too closely, the kind that makes $5,000 in one night seem reasonable. Ryan's stomach turned. He knew what kind of shipment, knew exactly what Reyes was moving. In the surveillance van, Rebecca's hands clenched into fists. He can't accept that. If he accepts, he's participating in trafficking. Morrison's voice was steady. He knows what he's doing. Trust him. But if he actually moves those women, then we arrest everyone involved, including Ryan if necessary. But we need Reyes on record making the offer. We need this conversation. Ryan looked at Reyes. I need to think about it. Of course, but Mr. Hayes, one more thing. Rebecca Morrison. You know her? I saw her on the news after the parking lot incident. That's it. Reyes pulled out his phone, showed Ryan a photo. Rebecca leaving the NCIS Operations Center yesterday. Clear surveillance shot. Interesting, because this was taken yesterday. That's Naval Base San Diego, NCIS Operations Center. And that's you. He swiped to another photo. Ryan getting into the NCIS van. 3 minutes later, so either you're working with federal agents investigating me, or you have another reason to be visiting NCIS facilities. Which is it? Ryan's mind raced. The cover was blown. Reyes knew, but admitting it meant the operation ended now. My disability claim is being reviewed. Monthly appointments at the base clinic. Medical records. That's all. Then you won't mind if I verify that. Verify whatever you want. Reyes studied him, then smiled. I believe you, because if you were FBI, you'd have been better prepared for that question. So here is what's going to happen. You're going to take the job tonight, 5,000 cash. You're going to prove to me that you're serious about working for my organization. And if you do well, there will be more opportunities. Better pay, maybe enough to move your daughter into a better neighborhood. Better schools, the life she deserves. The words hit exactly where Reyes intended. Sophie deserved better than what Ryan could provide. Always had, always would. Fine, I'll do it. Excellent. Be here at 11 p.m. Come alone. Tony will give you the details. Ryan stood, left, walked 6 blocks before the van picked him up. Inside, Morrison looked furious. You were supposed to decline, gather evidence of the offer, but not actually accept. He didn't give me a choice. If I declined, he'd know I was FBI. Rebecca's voice cut through. He already knows. He showed you surveillance photos. The cover is blown. Maybe, or maybe he's testing me, seeing if I'll actually go through with it, and if the shipment is what we think it is. If there are women being moved tonight, then we intercept. We arrest everyone. We save them. Morrison's jaw clenched. This is getting complicated. It was always complicated, Admiral. We're just seeing it now. That night, Ryan reported back to the operations center. The team spent 6 hours planning. FBI tactical units positioned along every possible route from the warehouse to the border. NCIS agents on standby. Local police notified but kept out of the loop in case Reyes had connections in the department. Rebecca sat in the planning session, silent, her eyes on the maps, on the routes, on the photos of previous victims. Ryan watched her when she wasn't looking. Noticed the way her hands trembled slightly when they discussed what might be in those shipping containers. Noticed the way she bit her lower lip when stressed. Noticed things he had no business noticing about his boss's daughter. At 10 p.m., Rebecca caught him in the hallway. You don't have to do this. We can find another way. There is no other way. If I don't show up tonight, Reyes disappears, changes his operation. Those women stay missing. And if something goes wrong, if he figures out you're wired. Ryan met her eyes. Then I improvise. It's what SEALs do. She grabbed his arm. I'm serious. This is dangerous. More dangerous than you know. Reyes doesn't leave loose ends. If he suspects you're working with us, I'll be fine. How can you know that? Because I have to be. Sophie needs me, and those women in those containers need someone to care enough to take a risk. Rebecca's grip tightened. You think I don't care? I've been investigating this for 6 months. I went undercover. I risked my life, and it almost got you killed. This is my job now. Let me do it. She released his arm, stepped back. Fine. But Ryan, he waited. Come back. Please come back. The vulnerability in her voice caught him off guard. This wasn't CEO Rebecca Morrison or Admiral Morrison's daughter. This was just a woman scared of watching someone die. I'll come back. He left before he could say something stupid. Something about how she was the first person besides Sophie who seemed to actually see him. Not the metal rack or the SEAL reputation. Just Ryan Hayes trying to do the right thing. 11 p.m. Ryan drove his truck to Pacific Import Services. The warehouse was dark except for security lights. 2 panel vans waited in the loading bay. Tony Vega met him. You're in van 2, follow van 1. Don't pass it, don't fall behind. When you get to the airfield, unload the cargo and leave. Simple. What's in the cargo? Vega smiled. Nothing you need to worry about. Your job is to drive, not ask questions. Ryan walked to van 2, checked the back, locked, no windows. Whatever was inside stayed hidden. The driver was already behind the wheel. Ryan climbed in passenger side, recognized the man immediately. Deshaun Williams, one of the 3 from the parking lot, the one Ryan had put down second. Williams looked at him, recognition flared. Well, well, small world. Ryan's hand moved toward his ankle holster, except he wasn't carrying tonight. Too risky if they searched him. Problem? Williams grinned. No problem at all. Just funny how things work out. You put me in the hospital. Now we're working together. Guess so. Williams started the engine. Word of advice, hero. Don't try anything stupid tonight. Boss is watching. He's got people along the whole route. Anything goes wrong, he'll know. The vans pulled out, headed south, toward the border. In the NCIS surveillance center, Rebecca watched the GPS tracker on Ryan's belt. Watched the vans move through San Diego. FBI units shadowed at a distance. Everything going according to plan. Morrison stood behind her. He'll be fine. How do you know? Because he's the best, and because he has something to live for. Rebecca's throat tightened. She thought about Sophie, about the way Ryan's whole face changed when he talked about his daughter, the way he'd risked everything in a parking lot because a 7-year-old asked him to help. Dad, if something happens to him, it won't. But if it does, Sophie, she'll need, I know, we'll take care of her. I promise. Rebecca nodded, couldn't speak, couldn't admit that she was more terrified in this moment than she'd been in that parking lot with a knife at her ribs. The vans drove for 20 minutes. Then van 1 suddenly accelerated, took a turn that wasn't on the planned route. Williams cursed. What the hell? He followed, but something was wrong. Ryan felt it before he saw it, the way William's shoulders tensed, the way his hand moved toward his waistband. It's a trap. You're FBI. I'm not. Shut up. Williams pulled his gun, pointed it at Ryan. The van swerved. Boss said you might be wired. Said if anything felt wrong to eliminate you and dump the body. Ryan's hands went up. Look, I don't know what's happening, but 3 SUVs appeared, blocked the road ahead. Van 1 screeched to a stop. Van 2, Ryan's van, couldn't stop in time. William hit the brakes. The van fishtailed, slammed into the guardrail at 60 miles an hour. Metal screamed, glass shattered. Ryan's head bounced off the dashboard. His vision went white with pain. The knee, his ruined knee, twisted in a way it wasn't supposed to twist. When his vision cleared, Williams was unconscious, bleeding from a head wound. The van had stopped. Was stopped. Wasn't going anywhere. Ryan heard gunfire, automatic weapons. The SUVs weren't FBI, weren't NCIS. Reyes had set up a counter-ambush. He kicked open the passenger door, fell out onto asphalt. His knee screamed, blood ran down his face. He crawled to the back of the van, tried the doors, locked. More gunfire, closer now. Ryan heard Morrison's voice in his earpiece. Ryan, get out of there. FBI units are 3 minutes out. 3 minutes was forever. Ryan picked up a chunk of twisted metal from the crash, used it to smash the van's rear door lock. The doors opened. 3 young women, early 20s, Latina, drugged, hands zip-tied. One was barely conscious. The other 2 were out completely. Ryan's rage crystallized into something cold and focused. He pulled them out one by one, cut the zip ties with Williams' knife, dragged them behind the wrecked van for cover. The SUVs disgorged men with weapons. 6, maybe 7. Coming toward the vans, Ryan had Williams' handgun. 1 magazine, 17 rounds. He'd been in worse situations, but not while protecting 3 unconscious women and nursing a destroyed knee. The first gunman rounded the van. Ryan fired twice. Center mass, the man went down. 16 rounds left. Return fire peppered the van. Ryan kept low, waited. Another gunman moved into the open. Ryan fired once. Headshot, the man dropped. 15 rounds. In the operations center, Rebecca watched the GPS tracker. It had stopped moving. She heard gunfire through the audio feed, heard Ryan's breathing harsh and controlled. Get units there now, Morrison was already on the radio. All units converge on Ryan's location. Shots fired. Webb looked at the tactical map. FBI is 2 minutes out. That's too long. Rebecca grabbed a tactical vest from the equipment locker. What are you doing? I'm not sitting here while he dies. Morrison grabbed her arm. Rebecca, no, you're not trained for... She pulled free. I've been shooting since I was 12. I know how to handle a weapon, and I'm not letting him die. She ran. Morrison shouted after her, but she was already gone. Down the stairs, out to the parking lot, into her Mercedes. The GPS showed Ryan's location, 2 miles. She drove. Ryan was down to 11 rounds, 4 gunmen still up. One of the women had regained consciousness, started screaming. Ryan pressed his hand over her mouth. Stay quiet. Help is coming. More gunfire. A round hit the van 6 inches from Ryan's head. He returned fire. Dropped another gunman. 10 rounds. Tires screeched. More vehicles arriving. Ryan's heart sank. Reinforcements for Reyes's people. This was over. He was dead. But the vehicle was a black Mercedes. Rebecca's Mercedes. She jumped out with an AR-15 that looked absurdly large in her hands. She fired. 3-round burst. Professional. Controlled. One of the gunmen went down. Rebecca ran to Ryan's position, slid behind the van next to him. What are you doing here? Saving you, like you saved me. You're supposed to be at the operations center. I don't take orders well. Despite everything, Ryan almost laughed. FBI sirens wailed in the distance. The remaining gunmen heard them too, started retreating to their SUVs. Rebecca fired again, kept them pinned. Ryan added his remaining rounds. The gunmen got in their vehicles, sped away. FBI tactical units arrived 40 seconds later, flooded the scene, secured the area. Paramedics rushed to the 3 women. Ryan tried to stand. His knee buckled. He went down hard. Rebecca caught him. I've got you. My knee. I think I tore something. She helped him to the ground. Her hands shook now that the adrenaline was fading. She'd just killed someone. Ryan saw it in her eyes, the shock, the realization. You okay? I shot him. I killed him. Her voice was small, disconnected. You saved lives, those women. Me. You saved us. I've never killed anyone before. Ryan took her hand. I know, and I'm sorry you had to. But Rebecca, you're a hero. You did what needed doing. Tears ran down her face. She didn't wipe them away. I was so scared. Watching the GPS, hearing the gunfire, thinking you were going to die. But I didn't. Because you came. I shouldn't have. Dad is going to kill me. Morrison arrived in the NCIS van, jumped out, saw Rebecca. His face went through 12 emotions in 2 seconds. Ended on relief. Rebecca, I'm fine, Dad. I'm okay. She stood. Let the paramedics take Ryan. Morrison pulled her aside, father and daughter talking in low, urgent tones. Ryan couldn't hear, but he could see. Morrison angry, Rebecca defiant. Then Morrison pulling her into a hug. Just a father grateful his daughter was alive. Ryan was loaded into an ambulance. Bullet wound to the shoulder. Nothing serious. The knee was worse. Much worse. The paramedic did a quick assessment. Sir, this knee needs immediate surgery. You've got a complete MCL tear, probably meniscus damage too. Just stabilize it. I need to debrief. You need surgery. Tonight, or you'll lose function permanently. Ryan looked at the 3 women being treated by other paramedics. All alive, all safe, he'd done his job. Fine, surgery, but someone needs to notify Sophie. Tell her Daddy's okay. Rebecca appeared at the ambulance door. I'll tell her. I'll bring her to the hospital. You don't have to. Yes, I do. The ambulance pulled away. Ryan watched Rebecca through the rear window until she disappeared. The surgery took 4 hours. Ryan woke in recovery to find Rebecca asleep in a chair next to his bed, still wearing the blood-stained blouse from earlier. She'd been there all night. Sophie arrived with Dylan at 8 a.m., ran to the bed, hugged Ryan carefully. Daddy, Uncle Dylan said you got hurt helping people again. Ryan looked past her to Rebecca, who was now awake. Their eyes met. Yeah, Bug, but I'm okay. Miss Rebecca stayed with you all night. She wouldn't leave. Sophie climbed into the bed next to Ryan, curled against his good side. Rebecca stood. I should go. Let you rest. Thank you. For last night, for staying. She nodded, left. But at the door she paused. Ryan, when you're better, when this is over, would you want to have dinner, just us? Like a date? Yes, a real date, not surveillance, not missions. Just 2 people getting to know each other. Ryan looked at Sophie, at Dylan, who gave him a thumbs up, at the ceiling, at everything except Rebecca, because looking at her made his chest tight. Yeah, I'd like that, she smiled, a real smile, the first he'd seen from her. Good. Get better first, though. She left. Dylan sat down in the chair. Bro, that woman is into you. She's out of my league. Maybe your league just got bigger. Ryan didn't respond, but he thought about the way Rebecca had run into gunfire, the way she'd stayed all night, the way she'd looked at him like he mattered. Maybe Dylan was right. The doctor came in 20 minutes later. Mr. Hayes, the surgery went well, but I need to be honest with you. This knee is done. You're looking at months of physical therapy. You'll walk again. But running, fighting, heavy physical work, that's off the table permanently. Ryan absorbed the news. His SEAL career had ended 3 years ago, but there'd always been the fantasy that maybe somehow he could get back to that life. Now even the fantasy was dead. Can I still take my daughter to school? The doctor smiled. Yes, you'll walk with a cane for a while. But yes, then I don't care about the rest. 2 weeks later, Ryan was home, physical therapy twice a day, learning to walk with the knee brace. Sophie helped him, made sure he did his exercises, and became his tiny drill sergeant. Rebecca visited daily, brought groceries, cooked dinners that were terrible because she'd never learned. She and Sophie laughed in the kitchen while Ryan watched from the couch and felt something in his chest crack open. The investigation continued. With Williams in custody and talking, the FBI built a case against Reyes. Surveillance showed him meeting with associates. Wire transfers traced money laundering. Witness testimony from the 3 rescued women placed him at the top of the organization. But Reyes stayed free. His lawyer was too good. The evidence was circumstantial. The case needed something more. Ryan was in physical therapy when his phone rang. Unknown number. He answered. Ryan Hayes. Hello, Ryan. Victor Reyes. We need to talk. I have nothing to say to you. Not even about your daughter, about Rebecca Morrison, about the two people you love most in the world. Ryan's blood went cold. What did you do? Nothing yet. But I wanted you to know something. You cost me $50 million. You destroyed my organization. You made me look weak. And I don't forget, I'll kill you. Reyes laughed. No, you won't. Because I have something you want, or rather, someone. Actually, two someones. Your daughter is at school right now. Second grade class, playing at recess. Rebecca Morrison is at her office. Top floor of the Morrison building. Both very vulnerable. Both very easy to reach. You're bluffing. Am I? Check your text messages. Ryan pulled the phone away from his ear. A photo loaded. Sophie on the playground. Taken today. Another photo. Rebecca walking into her office building this morning. Below the photos, choose Ryan, the daughter or the woman you love. You have 3 hours. Come to me alone, no police, no FBI, or they both die. And you get to pick which one goes first. The line went dead. Ryan stood frozen. His phone fell from his hand, clattered on the tile floor. Dylan appeared in the doorway. Brother, what's wrong? Reyes. He took them. He took Sophie and Rebecca. Ryan called Morrison before his hand stopped shaking. The Admiral answered on the first ring. They have Sophie and Rebecca, both of them. Reyes just called. Morrison's voice went military sharp. Location? I don't know yet. He said 3 hours. Told me to come alone or they die. Don't move. I'm sending units to the school and Rebecca's office right now. It's too late. He already has them. The line went silent for 3 seconds. When Morrison spoke again, his voice carried the weight of a father facing his worst nightmare. Where does he want you? He'll text the address. Admiral, I'm going, with or without your permission. I know, which is why I'm coming with you. 30 minutes later, 6 vehicles converged on an industrial complex near Otay Mesa. The abandoned building stretched across 5 acres. Perfect kill zone, perfect trap. Ryan sat in Morrison's SUV. Webb drove. Ortiz rode shotgun. Behind them, 2 FBI tactical vans waited for the signal. Morrison studied thermal imaging on a tablet. 2 heat signatures in the center building. Adult size and child size. That could be them. Ryan's phone buzzed. Text from unknown number. Industrial complex building C. Come alone. You have 10 minutes. Morrison looked at Ryan. It's too obvious. He knows we wouldn't let you go alone. Then what's the play? We send you in with full backup. Snipers on every rooftop. Tactical teams on all exits. The moment we confirm Sophie and Rebecca are inside, we breach. Ryan nodded. Strapped on a vest, checked his weapon. His knees screamed with every movement, but adrenaline overrode pain. They moved into position. Ryan approached Building C on foot. The thermal signatures hadn't moved. He reached the entrance. Door unlocked. Too easy. Inside was empty except for 2 figures tied to chairs in the center. Ryan's heart surged, then dropped. Mannequins. Heated blankets draped over them to create the thermal signatures. Morrison's voice crackled in his earpiece. It's a decoy. Get out, now. Ryan's phone rang. Reyes again. Did you really think I'd be that predictable? I'm watching you right now, Admiral Morrison. FBI tactical teams. Very touching. But your girls aren't there. Where are they? Somewhere personal. Somewhere that means something to you, Ryan. Think about it. Personal. Ryan's mind raced through possibilities. Then he knew. His house, the one place Reyes could hurt him most. Turn his home into a graveyard. My house. You're at my house. Smart man, you have 15 minutes. Come alone this time. Or I start with the little girl. The line died. Ryan ran for the SUV. Morrison was already there. Your house, we're going. FBI units will follow at distance. The drive took 12 minutes. Ryan counted every second. Morrison drove 90 miles per hour through residential streets. Webb called ahead to local PD, told them to stay back, not to approach. They rolled up to Ryan's house at 2:47 p.m. The front door was open. An invitation. Morrison grabbed Ryan's arm. Wait for backup. There is no backup. Not if we want them alive. Then we go together. You, me, Webb, Ortiz, four of us. Morrison handed Ryan a shotgun. They moved to the door, wedge formation, entered tactical. The living room was empty, kitchen empty, Sophie's room ransacked, Ryan's bedroom untouched. No sign of hostages. Then Ryan heard it, Sophie crying, from the backyard. They moved to the back door, patio visible through the glass. Sophie zip-tied to a patio chair, Rebecca next to her. Both alive. Reyes stood behind them, gun to Sophie's head. Four armed men positioned around the yard, covering all angles. This wasn't a negotiation. This was an execution waiting to happen. Morrison held up his hand. Wait. Reyes saw them through the glass, smiled, gestured with his free hand. Come outside. Ryan opened the door slowly, stepped onto the patio. Morrison, Webb, and Ortiz followed. Weapons raised but no clear shot. Reyes had positioned himself perfectly. Human shields on both sides. Drop your weapons or the child dies first. Sophie's eyes found Ryan, tears streaming down her face. Daddy! Every instinct screamed to charge forward, to put himself between the gun and his daughter. But training held him back. Rushing got everyone killed. Let them go. Take me instead. Reyes laughed. Everyone wants to be the hero. But heroes die, Ryan. You should know that better than anyone. Rebecca's voice cut through, steady despite the blood running from a cut above her eye. Ryan, don't. He's going to kill us all anyway. Not all of you, just enough to make a point. You destroyed my organization, cost me everything. Now I destroy what you love. He cocked the pistol, pressed it harder against Sophie's skull. Morrison shifted slightly, trying to get an angle. But Reyes tracked the movement. Don't! Any of you move and I paint this patio with her brain. Ryan lowered his shotgun, raised his hands. Please, she's 7 years old. Whatever you want from me, I'll do it. Just let her go. What I want is for you to watch her die. Watch the woman you love die. Then I'll let you live. So you can spend every day knowing you failed them both. Sophie's crying intensified. Rebecca struggled against her restraints. Blood dripped from her wrists where the zip ties cut into skin. Ryan took a step forward. I'm begging you. Take your revenge on me, but let them go. Begging how the mighty have fallen. The big Navy SEAL reduced to... Morrison fired. One shot. Expert marksmanship honed over 3 decades. The bullet caught Reyes in the right shoulder. Not fatal, but enough to make him stumble. Enough to drop the gun. Ryan moved, covered the distance in 2 seconds despite his ruined knee. Tackled Reyes before he could recover. They hit the ground hard. Reyes pulled a knife from his boot, slashed upward. The blade caught Ryan across the ribs. Shallow but painful, Ryan powered through, grabbed Reyes's knife hand, twisted, applied pressure until bone cracked. The knife fell. Ryan mounted Reyes, started raining down punches. Every hit carried 3 weeks of fear. Every connection was for Sophie's nightmares, for Rebecca's trauma, for every woman Reyes had stolen and sold. Reyes's face pulped under the assault, blood and broken teeth. But Ryan couldn't stop, wouldn't stop. Webb and Ortiz took down Reyes's 4 guards, professional, efficient. Morrison cut Sophie and Rebecca free. Dylan appeared at the fence. He'd followed despite orders to stay back. Pulled Ryan off Reyes before he beat the man to death. Brother, stop. He's done. You're going to kill him. Ryan's vision cleared, Reyes unconscious beneath him. Sophie standing 10 feet away with Morrison, watching her father become something she'd never seen before. Something violent and uncontrolled. Sophie! His voice broke. She ran to him anyway, threw her arms around his neck. He held her with bloody hands. I was so scared, Daddy. I know, Bug, I know, but you're safe now. Rebecca stood slowly. Morrison tried to help, but she waved him off, walked to Ryan on unsteady legs, looked down at Reyes' ruined face. You would have killed him for us. It wasn't a question. Yes, she knelt down, put her hand on Ryan's shoulder. Thank you for being the kind of man who'd cross that line. The words hit deeper than she knew. Ryan had spent his entire military career trying to stay on the right side of morality, to be the good guy even when covered in blood. But for Sophie, for Rebecca, he'd have crossed any line, become any monster. Sirens filled the afternoon. Ambulances and police and federal agents flooding the small house. Reyes was cuffed and loaded into an ambulance under armed guard. His 4 men arrested. The backyard became a crime scene. Ryan refused treatment until Sophie was cleared by the paramedics. No injuries, traumatized but physically unharmed. Rebecca had a concussion and broken ribs. Required hospital admission for observation. They rode in the same ambulance, Sophie between them. Ryan held his daughter's hand. Rebecca held her other hand, connected through this child who'd survived more in 8 years than most adults faced in a lifetime. At the hospital, Morrison pulled Ryan aside. "What you did today, beating Reyes nearly to death, that was self-defense. He had a knife. I neutralized the threat." Morrison studied him for a long moment, then nodded. "Self-defense. That's what the report will say." Recovery came in inches, not miles. Ryan's surgery took 4 hours. The knee was finished permanently. The doctor was blunt about it. "You'll walk, you'll play with your daughter, but running, fighting, field work, that's over." Ryan didn't care. Sophie was alive. Rebecca was alive. The rest was just details. He woke in recovery to find Rebecca asleep in a chair beside his bed, still wearing the blood-stained blouse from earlier. She'd been there all night. Sophie arrived with Dylan at 8 a.m., ran to the bed, hugged Ryan carefully. "Daddy, Uncle Dylan said you're okay." Ryan looked past her to Rebecca, who was now awake. Their eyes met. "Yeah, Bug, I'm okay." "Miss Rebecca stayed with you all night. She wouldn't leave." Sophie climbed into the bed next to Ryan, curled against his good side. Rebecca stood. "I should go. Let you rest." "Thank you. For last night, for staying." She nodded, left. But at the door she paused. "Ryan, when you're better, when this is over, would you want to have dinner? Just us, like a date?" "Yes, a real date. Not surveillance, not missions. Just 2 people getting to know each other." Ryan looked at Sophie, at Dylan, who gave him a thumbs up. "Yeah, I'd like that." She smiled, a real smile. The first he'd seen from her. "Good. Get better first, though." The weeks that followed blurred together. Physical therapy consumed Ryan's days. Learning to walk with the knee brace, accepting limitations, finding new ways to move through the world. Sophie's trauma counselor said she was processing well. The nightmares decreased from nightly to twice a week. She drew pictures again. Not violence anymore. Families, houses with gardens, a blonde girl holding hands with a man, and a dark-haired woman. Rebecca visited every Sunday, initially to check on them, she said, to make sure they had everything they needed. She'd arrive with groceries, stay to help with dinner. Terrible at cooking, but Sophie loved teaching her. Their laughter in the kitchen became the soundtrack to Ryan's healing. But something had changed between them. The crisis intimacy had burned too bright. Now, in the aftermath, they circled each other carefully. Too polite, too conscious of boundaries. Like strangers who'd shared a foxhole and didn't know how to be civilians together. The FBI dismantled what remained of Reyes' organization. 17 additional arrests across 3 states, 9 women rescued from various locations, financial assets frozen, a criminal empire reduced to case files and evidence boxes. By December, the U.S. Attorney had assembled an overwhelming case, 47 federal charges, witness testimony from Williams and the 3 rescued women, wire recordings, financial records, security footage showing Reyes coordinating operations. Reyes' attorney negotiated a plea deal. Life without parole in exchange for avoiding a lengthy trial. The prosecution agreed. Justice served without dragging victims through months of testimony. 6 months after the rescue, Ryan stood in federal court watching Victor Reyes accept his fate. The man looked diminished in an orange jumpsuit, face still healing from the beating, arm in a sling from Morrison's bullet. But on the final day, Reyes requested to make a statement. His lawyer advised against it, but Reyes insisted. "I want to talk about Ryan Hayes and Rebecca Morrison, about heroes and victims." The judge allowed it despite prosecutorial objections. That SEAL thinks he saved the day. Rescued the women, took down the bad guy, but he has no idea who he really saved in that parking lot. Lieutenant Rebecca Morrison was undercover in my organization for 6 months. Deep cover. She infiltrated through a fake boyfriend, fed information to the FBI the entire time. The courtroom erupted. Ryan turned to look at Rebecca sitting 3 rows back. She met his eyes. nodded slowly, confirming what Reyes just revealed. That parking lot kidnapping was real. My men discovered her identity. We were going to extract information, then kill her. Hayes stumbled into a federal operation he knew nothing about. Morrison stood. Your Honor, I can confirm Lieutenant Morrison was working undercover. Her operation was classified. Mr. Hayes acted without knowledge of her true role. He saved my daughter's life. That makes him a hero regardless of what he did or didn't know. The judge banged his gavel, restored order. Reyes was led away smiling, like he'd won something by revealing the truth. Outside the courthouse, Ryan caught up with Rebecca. 6 months undercover. You never said anything. It was classified. Even my father didn't know until after. That's why you went back into the field? Why you ran into gunfire? You weren't just investigating. You were in it. Rebecca looked away. I dated one of Reyes's lieutenants. For 4 months. Fake relationship, fake feelings, altogether intelligence. When he figured out who I was, he told Reyes. That's when they came for me. Ryan processed this new information. Reread the last 6 months through a different lens. Everything you've done. Staying in the hospital. Visiting Sophie. Was that guilt? Some of it was guilt. But Ryan, most of it was real. My feelings for you, for Sophie, that wasn't part of any mission. That was just me being selfish enough to want something good in all this darkness. She walked to her car, left Ryan standing on the courthouse steps trying to figure out what was real and what was performance. Morrison called in late February with a proposal. The veteran training program you mentioned, the one you wanted to start. I have funding, federal grants, private donors. I want you to run it. Ryan sat on his back porch, the same patio where he'd nearly killed a man, where his daughter had faced death. Why me? Because you understand what veterans need. Purpose, direction, a way to keep serving. You could train them in protective services, security work, help them transition to civilian life. Ryan thought about the SEALs he'd served with, the ones struggling now, drowning in PTSD and unemployment and purposelessness. I'll do it, but I need a partner, someone who understands the business side. Already arranged. Rebecca will be your co-director. Equal partners. 50-50. Guardian Protection Services opened in April. 8 months after that afternoon in the Target parking lot, the facility was modest. Converted warehouse in Oceanside, 6 classrooms, training gym, shooting range, office space. Ryan taught tactics, threat assessment, protective driving, all the skills he'd learned in 12 years as a SEAL. Rebecca handled contracts, hiring, business development. Her connections in the military and corporate world brought in clients immediately. They were careful around each other. Professional, colleagues rebuilding something from the wreckage of trauma. Sophie loved having Rebecca around. She'd started calling her Aunt Becca, sometimes slipped and said Mom. Rebecca never corrected her. The first cohort graduated in August. 12 veterans, all now employed in protective services, FBI contracts, corporate security, embassy guards, real jobs, real purpose. At the graduation ceremony, Morrison gave a speech about service continuing after the uniform. Sophie sat in the front row wearing a dress Rebecca had bought her. Ryan watched Rebecca during the ceremony. The way she smiled when each graduate crossed the stage. The way she looked at Sophie was something that went beyond obligation or guilt. After everyone left, they cleaned it up together, stacking chairs. Sophie had already gone home with Dylan for a sleepover. Rebecca turned off the lights in the main hall. This was a good day. They all got jobs. All 12. Because of you. Your connections made it possible. We both made it possible. They stood in the dark hallway, alone for the first time in months. I need to tell you something. When I was undercover, I learned how to fake feelings, how to lie with my whole body. I got so good at it that I wasn't sure I could feel anything real anymore. Then I met you and Sophie, and everything I felt was too real, too big, too terrifying. So I pulled back, kept my distance. Ryan waited, let her finish. But watching you today, seeing what we built together, I realized something. Wealth isn't measured in bank accounts. It's measured in the people who make you want to be better than you are. You and Sophie make me wealthy in ways money never could. Ryan closed the distance. stood close enough to see the pulsing in her throat. I'm a broken seal with PTSD. I live paycheck to paycheck, even with this job. My daughter has nightmares about men with guns. We're a lot of baggage. I don't want anyone else. I want you. Even though I'm nothing like the men in your world, you're exactly the man I want. The kind who shows up when it's hard. Who cares when it would be easier not to? Who teaches me that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's doing the right thing despite it. He kissed her. Finally, after a year of proximity and tension and carefully maintained distance, her hands came up to his face. His arms pulled her close. Sophie's going to lose her mind when she finds out. Rebecca laughed. She's been asking me when I'm going to marry you since June. Has she now? She wants siblings. Apparently being an only child is boring. Ryan kissed her again, slower this time. Be my girlfriend, see where this goes. Yes, to both. Their first official date happened 2 weeks later. Rebecca suggested dinner. Ryan countered with tacos and the beach. They ended up watching the sunset eating carne asada from a food truck. Sophie was with Dylan. They had nowhere to be. No crisis, no mission, just two people learning how to be together without danger, forcing connection. This is better than any expensive restaurant. Rebecca wiped salsa from her chin. Much better, though I'm slightly offended you've been holding out on me. There's a whole world of cheap, delicious food you're missing. Then you'll have to show me. Fair warning, Sophie's already planning the wedding. She has a notebook with drawings. Ryan choked on his taco. We've been dating for 2 weeks. Try telling her that. According to her notebook, I need a white dress and you need a tuxedo, and there should definitely be a unicorn somewhere. Rebecca leaned into him, her head on his shoulder. We can take as long as you need. But Ryan, I already know how this ends. It ends with us, with Sophie, with the family we're building. He kissed her as the sun touched the horizon. 8 months later, Ryan proposed. Not at a restaurant or on a beach. In their kitchen, Rebecca's house that was slowly becoming theirs. Sophie was in on it, presenting the ring on a pillow like they'd practiced. Rebecca cried, said yes before he finished asking. 1 year after Guardian's first graduation, Ryan stood in Admiral Morrison's backyard during a small ceremony. 20 guests, close friends and family. Dylan as best man, Sophie as flower girl in a blue dress that matched Rebecca's eyes. Rebecca walked down the aisle on her father's arm. Morrison had tears in his eyes, giving away his only child to a man who'd saved her life, who'd loved her even when she tried to push him away. The officiant asked Ryan for his vows. I was lost until you came into my life. Teaching veterans helped me find purpose, but you gave me something bigger. You showed me that being broken doesn't make you useless, that scars are just proof you survived. I promise to protect you, to cherish you, to occasionally let you win arguments so you remember why you married me. Laughter rippled through the guests. I love you. Always will. Rebecca's vows came next. I spent my life building walls, making myself cold because that felt safer than being vulnerable. You tore down every wall, made me feel things I thought I'd lost. You saw past the money and the name and the armor. You saw me. I promise to love you and Sophie with everything I am, to be a partner, not a boss, a mother, not a benefactor. I love you, and I'm finally home. They kissed as husband and wife. Sophie cheered loudest, ran up and hugged them both. Does this mean you're my mom now? Ryan looked at Rebecca, who nodded. Yeah, bug. That's exactly what it means. The reception was simple. Backyard barbecue, Dylan grilling, Morrison giving a speech about stubborn daughters who chose well, Webb and Ortiz with their families, the 12 graduates from Guardian's first cohort at celebrating. Evening came. Sophie fell asleep on a lawn chair. Ryan carried her to their truck. Rebecca followed. You ready for this? Full-time parenting? I've been practicing. I think I can handle it. She's going to test you, I know. But she's worth it. You're both worth it. They drove to their new house. 3 bedrooms in Carlsbad, a home they'd chosen together. Ryan carried Sophie upstairs. They tucked her in as a team. Sophie mumbled in her sleep. Love you, Mom. Love you, Dad. Rebecca's eyes filled. Ryan pulled her close. Downstairs on the couch, exhausted but happy, Rebecca spoke first. We did it. We survived, not unscarred. Ryan traced the faint line on her wrist where zip ties had cut. No, but scars tell stories. They're proof we fought and won. She kissed him, a promise of the life they were building. 3 years later, Ryan stood in Guardian Protection's expanded facility watching the latest cohort graduate. 63 veterans in 3 years, 92% employment, lives redirected toward purpose. Rebecca handled contracts from an office decorated with the Sophie's artwork. Their daughter, officially adopted 2 years ago, was 10 now. Still asked hard questions. Still called them mom and dad with the casual certainty of a child who'd always been loved. Sophie appeared at his elbow during the ceremony. Dad, do you ever think about that day? At Target? Ryan watched Rebecca across the room laughing with a graduate's family. Every day. Do you regret it? All the hard stuff that came after? Ryan looked at Sophie, at Rebecca, at the veterans finding their way forward, at the life they'd built from trauma and choice and showing up when it mattered. Not for a second. Good, because Mom says we're getting a D. She ran off. Rebecca caught his eye across the room, mouthed, I love you. He mouthed it back. Heroes don't wear uniforms. They wear wedding rings and watch their daughters grow and teach veterans to find purpose. They show up in parking lots when someone needs help. They choose love over fear. Every single time.